just want to get out some information. Not trying to scare anybody. I'm just trying to simply put a fact out there. And I'm hoping that there might be some people who would be able to use it or connect it with something else that is already known. And here it is. Now, I don't normally like giving away my location, but I think I'm going to have to for this case. When I was going through a country called Zambia, and I'll put a picture here so you can see where it is in Africa. Um, I was talking to some people from, and I'll just call it a non-governmental organization for now. Maybe I'll do a later video, a follow-up to this, with a little bit more information, or answer any questions if anybody's interested. And they told me that in the last week, roughly, or that it was a recent development, that a lot of the people, the native people, let's call them, and I say native because I want to imply that there's some kind of, I'll say a primitive lifestyle. Now, it's the kind of lifestyle that people would, maybe lifestyle is the wrong word, but it's the kind of living situation that a lot of people, I think, from Western countries would look at and say, oh no, they're living in such terrible poverty. We must come in here and, make infrastructure, build houses, that kind of thing. I think at this stage of my life, I think that's counterproductive. I think that maybe is the problem with all of our particular lifestyles, let's say. Anyway, I don't want to digress too much. Here's what these people and I don't want to describe them any more than that for now, but I will later if necessary. I just don't want to put too many terms on people. So here's what these people told me. I didn't see it firsthand, but here's what they told me was the latest big thing in the, let's say, region. It's because it was larger than just village. But they told me that over several mornings, maybe not every morning, but maybe every couple of mornings, in some area, people would wake up and they'd find somebody dead. But that person, so that indigenous person, let's say, that African person, so when I say African, okay, I'm going to say black, a Zambian person, was not only dead, but drained of all their blood. And this obviously was terrifying, and anybody who not only found these people who were dead were terrified, but then when word got around about it, it obviously made the local population terrified when the story went around. And now what these people from the NGO were telling me was that they themselves weren't terrified to wake up and discover that one of them might be dead and drained of all their blood, but they were terrified of the heightened level of anxiety that it was causing amongst the native population, in that they were afraid that somebody might say, oh, this kind of stuff didn't happen whenever the NGO wasn't here, so that they might say, oh, those people are responsible for it, and then come and attack them. So they were saying they weren't afraid of the people, but just, I think people can relate to this now, that certain people, you can never guarantee what way their mind is going to go, how paranoid they're going to be. And just like what we see now, you never know who's going to be so highly excitable that they might be prone to doing things that are highly irrational, act in a way that is very, irrational, and it can unpredictable, and that you never know if they're going to be a danger to themselves or you because they're in such a heightened level of anxiety. So this story, I mean, when I heard it, I didn't dismiss it or think, oh, that's just superstitious nonsense, which I think maybe is what these people were getting at. I think that they were assuming that there was some logical, rational, scientific explanation for this. So it obviously reminded me of some episode of the X-Files, or all these kind of, animal mutilation type of things that I guess most people listening to this might have heard of, which again is sort of like an X-Files thing, but also a legitimate thing where, I mean, you just only have to watch documentaries where you hear farmers, or there are farmers who go on camera and they talk about how they've discovered their livestock. I'm talking about farmers in the United States, and especially, of course, in places like New Mexico, but it could be anywhere, where they talk about how they maybe don't hear anything or see anything, but they find one of their animals with something excised, like an eye or a part of their skull, perfectly, um, and that they're completely drained of blood. And this is terrifying, not only because of the gruesome discovery, but because people then don't know how it is that this could possibly have happened. And apparently there's no I was going to say very well known, there is no well known, or there's no known way, apparently, with the methods that are known publicly to do such a thing. So I'm not trying to frighten anybody. I just think that it's important information because I never heard it in the mainstream, let's say. I never heard any reports about it. But then again, I don't watch TV or the news much. Um, I want to say that this was before I was familiar with the current, and I'll call it, malady. Um, and maybe other people were, but this would have been sometime back in February. And as far as I was concerned, and as far as my experience was in the real world, nobody was aware that there was any particular issue to be worried about as far as the malady that's been going on for the last few months. So this would have been back in around middle of February, I would say. And I think it's again relevant to put a time on it, as well as a vague place. I'll narrow it down to a country anyway. And the reason why I'm putting this information out there is because I think that it's a piece of some wider jigsaw puzzle. And I think it's important to put it out there so that other people might be able to. I can't fit this puzzle, this piece, to anything else, but other people might be able to fit it to something that they know, and it might be relevant to a certain context. It might be relevant to what's going on now. I don't know, but I feel that it's important, without scaremongering, just to put it there on the table, and I didn't want to forget to do that.